Oh, that's a hard question. If I contrast Freud with Jung, that might bring some clarity to the issue. Freud's theory of religion was that when a child grows up, we believe that our parents are omnipotent. We believe they can protect us. We believe our dad is the Superman. He's stronger than all the other dads. If you ever listen to the sandbox conversation in a kindergarten, I assure you that that's what they are talking about. According to Freud, when you come to the age of, let's say, 4 or 5, you are hit with a disillusion. You discover that your father especially is not this Superman. Freud's idea is that when you are exposed to this delusion, you are exposed to all the uncertainties of life. And your anxiety goes up, and you have to find some kind of solution to this. And he thinks that that's the moment when religion steps in as a displacement, where this previous omnipotency you saw in your father figure is now displaced into the God figure. And now we give God the same kind of attributions as the father had previously. And now we are safe again. Now we have a good entity somewhere who is looking after us, just like the little child felt previously. Now Jung took a completely different take on this. Jung looked at religiosity as a human need, that we need to believe in something. It gives life meaning. It gives us a kind of location where we are in life. And I think as a therapist, we have tended to go more Freud's way of looking at religion as a problem that needs to be analyzed and dissolved. Well, I think that today the analytic community have changed a lot in the way they think about this, in the way that religion can be an enormous source of comfort, inspiration, and give meaning to a life that otherwise we might not have.
In my own tradition, there's no conflict between faith and science, so it's not something that I would. I think this is great. Intellect is wonderful. One of the basis of how we kind of find our way through ethical situations is scripture, reason, and tradition, and we draw from all three. So reason and experience would be something which we would be a part of, seeing God in the natural world and so on. If you were talking about intellect as a defense structure, as I was working with the person, that would be something different. And so what I would try to do is to move them more to heart experience. So while they may have an airtight way in which they think the world is, they're in my office for a reason. There's something that's moving that that isn't quite complete, and they want to know what else there is. So I would talk about experiences I've had. If they can't access their own, we would move to things like love and greater purpose, those kind of ultimate questions. It raises the issue of doubt and faith, in those conversations as well. And for me, they're one and the same. It's part of the deepening process of our sorting things out there. So anyway, I would probably move towards more of a heart conversation than the intellect conversation.
That's great. This is the core question. I think the reason why this play is extraordinary, and the reason I don't talk about my faith or lack of it, either camp, is because part of my job is to be neutral in this. Part of my job is to make sure that the conversation is absolutely transparent, connected to a truth, connected to an idea of who these men are, because in truth we'll never really know all of their motivations, so we have to create. And this is an art form, so it's a world of make-believe. It's a world of what if? And that what if allows space for speculation. And the key part of it is, one of the reasons I love theatre as a collective art form is it only works and only really comes together when you're there. And the dialogue between the ideas on the stage and you is the difference between this and basically television, film. I mean, whether you eat popcorn or not during a film, is entirely up to you. But in the theatre, there's something about, and forgive me the analogy, but the church-like experience, the silence of the auditoria and the attention that is extraordinary and somehow still respected. There seems to be a code that we are ingrained with, that we know, even though we don't know it, and then we learn from the experience. And within that silence, within that collection of strangers, ideas are fizzing. And so I hope that as a result of this play and the relative neutrality of the production that allows both men to argue their corner, the third act of the play happens in your journey home, and the day after, and the day after. Because if theatre doesn't become a provocateur about ideas like that, then it fails. It should be a place of conversation. The conversation starts here and it continues there. It's a dialogue in that moment, and it's a dialogue that admittedly is one-sided, since we don't really have heckling in the truest form, although it's always possible, I guess, if the fence is great enough. But what I'm hoping is the audience experience something that is both fair, honest, and connected, that sparks conversations within their own world. This isn't about converting you, it's about opening up the possibility of a conversation. And maybe that's a conversation with the person next to you you've never met before.